How's it going?
It's going, man. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh, I didn't think that'd be the first one.
Sweet. Well, here you are.
Welcome
You
to
won
the
the
show.
lottery.
Awesome. Well, I had a story about some witches, if you guys are interested in that.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
So to give you a little context, I come from a long line of Mennonites. So my grandfather was a Mennonite pastor. He kind of left the more the conservative Mennonites, kind of the black bumper, more Amish Mennonites. When he was, I guess probably when trying to think, sorry, I'm a little nervous. So.
Oh, don't be. Well, look, I'm always interested in Mennonites. I know a bunch. Is there a reason, before we get to the witch story, is there a reason he left the Mennonite?
Well, he was a missionary in Israel right after World War II. So he worked with a lot of Holocaust victims, people moving back to the area, and so he was kind of. But there were a lot of other Christian groups there, specifically Baptists, and kind of what they realized was some of the more traditional aspects were a bit of a stumbling block for other people. So my grandmother stopped wearing like her head covering, and they just tried to, I guess, be more approachable. But anyway, when they moved back to the States, they were part of a church in Virginia, along with my uncle, who's their son-in-law. They were kind of on the leadership team. My uncle's like the associate pastor there. My grandfather was kind of like the more of a father figure type. He kind of was like the mentor to the leaders, I suppose, if you will. And the church has been really successful. Things have been going really well. And the lead pastor there wanted to kind of start a larger network. And so he was kind of stepping away from that specific campus and wanted to kind of be over some other ones. And the guy that he had put in place, my grandfather had some real questions about him. I wasn't sure what this newer guy reached out to my grandfather and said, "I really respect you." I can't remember exactly all of the reasons why, but he really wanted to meet with my grandfather and say, "Can you please pray for me? I'm having some struggles." So my grandfather, goes in, has this meeting with them. So a little more context. My grandfather was blind, because a whole nother story, but basically a Jewish occult group blinded him when he went in for some eye treatment.
What?
Yeah, really weird. So that's another story for another day.
Yeah, we'll like to hear that story. We do want to hear about witches, but that's crazy. Like totally blind?
Like he could see shapes of people, but he wouldn't be able to recognize you.
Wow.
So he really can't see. But so he's in this meeting with this pastor. As he's praying for him, he kind of spiritually saw this black tentacled creature coming out of him that had one single red eye, and obviously that was really disturbing, and it felt really significant to my grandfather. He was really troubled by that.
Wow.
Shortly after that, um, my uncle had come into the church. He was the first one there, and something had happened where chairs were thrown around, tables were thrown around. People had somebody had urinated over a whole bunch of the furniture and the pews and things. But they decided to kind of keep it a little bit hush hush, just because they didn't know what happened, who had done it. They didn't want to disturb the rest of the congregation, so there were only a handful of people that knew about it. And it was all just kind of the main pastoral staff, including my grandfather and my uncle. A year or two goes by, and my grandfather meets this woman that had started coming to church, and they strike up a conversation, and she said, I have something I need to tell you. And I said, oh, okay, well, tell me what's on your mind. And she says, well, I recently accepted Jesus into my life and wanted to start coming to church and pursue that. But before that, I was a witch, and I was in this group of witches. And she said, our goal was essentially to go around and defile churches, and they would go and they would, I guess it was essentially they're kind of like this witchcraft type stuff they would do in the church that included, urinating on things and throwing things over and defiling it in all these other ways.
Yeesh.
And she said, we tried, we had been going around to these different churches and doing this. She said, and we came to your church, and we drove up the hill, and we opened the doors to get out of the car, when suddenly this massive wall of fire dropped between us and the church, and we were gripped by such fear that we just got in the car and left. And we'd never encountered anything like that. And she said, I really believe that was the power of God and his blessing over the church.
Wow.
And then she said, a little bit of time went by, and we heard that there was a change in leadership. And so we wanted to try again to see if this time, if it was something that we could do our witchcraft in this church. And so this was around the time when my grandfather was having this meeting where this black tentacled creature was coming out of this man who had been selected to be the new pastor of the church. And then this time they weren't impeded at all, and were able to go in and do their witchcraft.
Wow.
But that was always my grandfather wasn't. I think the Mennonite context is important because he was not a sensationalist at all, and he was never like he believed in the Holy Spirit and things like that, but he was never kind of the charismaniac type, I guess, is some people refer to him. Right. But yeah, not sensationalist. So it was a very unique story coming from him.
Right.
But
gave it a little more weight hearing it from him. The one lady went and said she found Jesus afterwards? She did, yeah. And then she started attending that church because I don't know if it was because it was the one church where she felt like that there was, the power of God was there or something. Did everyone there know? I'm not sure why. Do you know if did everyone know hey, this is the witch that peed all over the place? As far as I know, there's probably just a handful of us that know. And do you believe did everyone believe her that she actually had that change of heart? It seemed pretty evident, but she also knew things that obviously no one outside of a small handful of people would have known. And it wasn't talked about in the congregation at that church. That's wild. So it was
there were, obviously maybe she was lying about part of it, but she clearly knew, it was clearly a part of the defiling of the church.
Right.
But just the fact that they weren't able to get in the first time because of a wall of fire.
I got a question here from Ira. This is a good. How old were they? I would give or take.
How old are the witches?
Yeah.
I think. Well, I couldn't speak for all of them, but the one woman, she was 30s or 40s. She wasn't like old, but also wasn't super young.
Okay, very interesting. So there's just bands of witches going around defiling churches.
Piss witches.
Piss witches. Band name.
Yeah.
Holy moly, that's insane.
And I'm not the only one who's got that. I'm looking at chat right now, and I see other people calling them piss witches too. That's the first thing I thought when he said it, and I was trying really hard not to laugh because I was like, "Oh my god, this is a coven of piss witches."
Wow.
Yeah. That's the first I've actually heard of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone else.
No, usually they're setting fire to stuff, painting blood on the walls, sacrificing chickens and shit, but like this is like, no, we're just gonna run over to the church and just piss everywhere.
Man, there are some of my favorite witch stories came from Nathaniel Hawthorne, who is a short story writer from where was he? Somewhere in New England, and his great grandfather was one of the judges at the Salem witch trials. So Nathaniel had some weird guilt over it all. So he was kind of like a liberal about the whole thing. Put that aside, he wrote some of the scariest stories about witches in those times, and they weren't going around doing stuff like that. But there are scenes, and this is from like I think the early to mid 1800s, that he's writing about these witches doing crazy stuff in the woods, in the woods outside of where the Puritans were living, that are kind of similar to what you're saying, and it's insane. I think this stuff's been going on for a long time, and still going on, clearly.
Yeah, it seemed like such a specific practice that I wonder how long that particular coven has been around. Maybe quite a while.
I would say so. Well, that's a great story and crazy. I appreciate you sharing. Do you have anything else you want to share?
I just had like one other weird little news thing I saw that I thought you might be interested in.
Cool.
I was for a little while. My wife and I ran an orphanage in Zambia, Africa. So I kind of keep up with the local news, just see what's going on. It's a small country, like 4 million people.
Right.
But I saw it was actually it was almost a month ago, I think. There's an article by The Guardian where there were 2 men who were arrested for an assassination attempt on the current president, which maybe that in and of itself isn't that odd, but some of the details were very strange. They were hired by, so they were like discovered, I think, in like in a closet or something by a maid.
Whoa. But
they are hired by the opposition leader to perform assassination by witchcraft.
Whoa.
So they had like some unidentified white powder, some like animal tail, red claw. There was just like these assortment of items, and they were like doing witchcraft in
crap. I see it. I'm looking at the headline right now, africanews.com. Zambia, 2 men sentenced for attempting to kill president with witchcraft. Dang, dude.
Yeah, so I thought that theme might tie in nicely to that. Yeah, it's a weird story.
Well, the same thing also came out, the Charlie Kirk shooting. They were saying that
you're right.
Somebody had paid witches a couple of weeks beforehand to curse him.
You're right. And they then they were saying that they went and were praying about that, I think the day before he was assassinated.
So this witchcraft assassination thing might not just be like a one-off thing. This might be a whole thing, huh?
Yeah. No, I take this seriously. I mean, I'm reading the Bible, and it's in the Bible, and it's an issue. But like, I've also been around witches. Like I just told the story the other night, so I won't repeat the whole thing. But I met a bunch in Georgia that were quite literally in like chats, like public forums, talking about how to kill people with putting hexes on them and making little dolls and doing all this stuff. So, you don't have to believe in it, but there are people who certainly believe in it. And that's crazy, man. I had no idea.
Yeah, outside of the movie The Craft, I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, dude. No, it's based on reality. I think a lot of this stuff is.
For sure.
Well, thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
And thanks for the stories.
Thanks for letting me call in.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Do call back.
All right. I have another crazy story about a demon room. Maybe I'll share sometime.
Fantastic.
We'd love to hear it. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. So that's crazy. A court in Lusaka has sentenced 2 men to 2 years in prison with hard labor for attempting to kill the country's president with witchcraft. It's a first in Zambia. 2 men were convicted on Monday, this is from September, of attempting to use witchcraft to kill President Hichilema, with a court sentencing them to just 2 years. I mean, that's 2 years seems kind of light.
Hichilema?
Hichilema.
Hichilema and the Witch Dilemma?
Not,
Let's go.
man. We have so much merch we need to make.
I'm just pumping them out tonight, man.
Killing it, dude.
Piss Witches and the Piss Witches of Eastwick. What else we got? I already see people going nuts in chat.
We got to do it. Okay, so they were arrested last December after a cleaner reported hearing strange noises in a room. The 2 men were found in possession of a live chameleon, an unidentified white powder, a red cloth, and an animal's tail, all of which they reportedly planned on using in a ritual that would cause death within 5 days, as explained by Fury, according to a magistrate. The court convicted both men under the Witchcraft Act.
Wow.
A law criminalizing witchcraft dating back to the colonial era under British rule. Maybe you got to bring that back. President Hichilema has increasingly been accused of using the courts to silence his opponents and more generally crack down on free speech in Zambia. Witchcraft has also played a major role in the ongoing dispute concerning the body of late President Edgar Lungu, who is currently awaiting his funeral in a morgue in South Africa, as the Zambian government insists that he should be buried in Zambia, despite this going against his family's wishes. The current president's insistence on Lungu's burial in Zambia has fueled rumors that the president would want to use his former rival's body for occult purposes, an accusation denied by the government. Dude, the world is going mad. The world's been mad.
What in the hell?
What is going on?
What is up with people in exhuming bodies?
Yeah, I mean,
and doing weird shit with them.
We were just talking about it with Seamus. Was that last week? About the old story in the Vatican where they had that one pope and they dug up the old pope and put his dead body on trial. That's a crazy story. It's a wild story, and this is really nothing. You know, we also had Nero in Rome, who
this is necrophilia, dude.
Oh yeah,
like by definition, this is necrophilia. Okay, if they return any of these beings to a living state, let me know, because then we've crossed the fucking line. But right now,
yep.
I'm like, why do you need to dig up a dead body and put it on trial?
It's wild.
What the hell purpose does that? He's not really there anyway.
Yeah, it was like a symbolic thing. I mean, it was crazy.
I mean, we got dead people voting in the United States. This is the second time I've mentioned it this show.
We had a dead person as a president.
They might as well be hanging out with us because they're picking our presidents.
Yep. Man, it's crazy.